Hey guys, this is MadNES. So, Super Mario. Yeah, I never heard of him. Okay, for real. Mario needs no introduction. He's probably one of the most well-known video game characters of all time, starring in literal hundreds of games by this period. So I was recently thinking about the Super Nintendo ranking video that I did a couple months ago, and I remember having a lot of fun doing that. So I thought today I would rank the 3D Super Mario games. So why don't we go do that? Let's check it out. So before we begin, guys, I just wanted to reiterate, this is my list. This is my ranking. This is all based off of my opinions and my experiences. Take it with a huge grain of salt. But if you guys disagree with anything that I have to say in this video, why don't you let me know down in the comments down below. But I can't think of a better way to start this off than with Mario's first ever 3D adventure, Super Mario 64. This is definitely a game that I loved playing. This was like a life-changing thing when I saw this for the first time. I saw this game at a Target, and it blew my mind. Like, oh my god, this is a game that you could actually play with this like little joystick thing. Like, what even is this? You can move in all directions. You can explore around this castle. It's amazing. But I will be the first to admit that this game definitely shows its age a little bit. Specifically in its controls. I will say its visuals too. Like, that's kind of beating a dead horse when talking about, N64 games from the 1990s and talking about them in 2019. Like, yeah, the visuals are not going to be as good. But my main issue with the game is the controls and how it feels. Anytime you would go up a slope of any kind, it feels like you would just go slipping and sliding everywhere. Mario would turn in weird ways when you're trying to flip the control stick around. It just feels archaic in a lot of ways. But that's not to say that this game still isn't enjoyable to play today. Not at all. I still think this is a great game. But, I have to compare it to other 3D Mario games, and this kind of game has definitely been done much better. We're going to get to those, believe me. So I think overall I'm going to give this game a B. Still very enjoyable to play, but again, its visuals, its controls, its feel, the camera and stuff like that. It's just been better. It's just been done better in other Mario games since then. Oh man, we're gonna be bashing on this game 2 videos in a row now, but you all know how I feel about this game right here, Super Mario Sunshine. Everything that I said in that video still kind of carries over here. I don't really like how the game is centered around one area. I don't really like FLUDD that much. I don't really like a lot of the controls. I don't really like the fact that the game is super linear and you have to complete all the missions, and any side shine that you collect is meaningless unless you're going for 100%. But at the end of the day, this is still a Super Mario game, and there are still a lot of enjoyable things about this game. The controls definitely do feel a lot better and a lot more fluid. The secret levels where FLUDD is taken away from you and it's just classic Mario platforming, those are a blast to play through. Definitely a highlight from the game overall. But at the end of the day, I still have to be real. I have to compare this to other 3D Mario games, and quite honestly, I feel like there's a lot of other 3D Mario games that did this formula way, way better. So at the end of the day, I'm going to be giving this game a C. I'm not going to give it a D because I don't feel like this game deserves it. I think that there's still a lot of fun aspects about this game, but ultimately, while still a moderately fun experience, it's definitely on the lower end of 3D Mario. So yeah, I'm going to stick with giving it a C. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. Super Mario Galaxy. Talk about such a huge leap from Sunshine. Both in scope and in visuals, control, missions, being able to pick and choose what missions you want to do. This game, in my opinion, so far has been the best entry out of everything that we've talked about so far. In my mind, this game is nothing short of an S rank. This is a fantastic game from beginning to end. This game is on the Wii, so there are some tacked-on motion controls, but in my opinion, that does not at all get in the way of this phenomenal game. While this game is definitely not as exploration-based as previous Mario games like Sunshine and 64, this game has a lot more of a classic feel. You know, there's more like, you know, going through obstacle courses and like getting to the end and getting to a goal. But no one level feels the same. No one level feels like you're just, you know, going to the flagpole like in a 2D Mario game. Some levels you might be collecting silver stars in order to get your power stars together. Some levels you might be beating a boss or something like that. Some levels you might be outpacing rising lava from a volcano. Like it doesn't, you never know what you're going to run into with this game. There's so much variety and so many like fun aspects to this game. There's one level where literally you're jumping from giant apples and you stomp on these worms to create bridges between these apples in order to, you know, launch yourself into this like massive garden. It's like it's wild and crazy, and I love every minute of it. I could keep gushing about this game for so much longer, guys, but I need to cut myself off here because we're at another heavy hitter with the next game. I don't know how they did it, but they did it again. Super Mario Galaxy 2. Like, it's almost better than the original, and I don't know how you do that, but they did it somehow. This is another S. Like, somehow they managed to make the levels more interesting, more memorable, and more challenging. Like, it's phenomenal, guys. It's these two games back to back are some of the best works that Nintendo has ever put out. To date, these are my favorite 3D Mario platformers. And there are other games that contest this a little bit, simply being more in style of like the classic 3D Super Mario games like 64, where these games are not as exploration-based as those. But when it comes to just sheer variety and just enjoyment factor, these games, in my opinion, have yet to be topped by anything else on this list. So another S, fantastic game. So next up we have kind of an odd entry, Super Mario 3D Land. So with this game, they tried to come up with your classic 2D Mario game, but have it be presented in 3D, where you can, you know, move in and out of the backgrounds, but it's a completely linear level, get from beginning to end and reach the flagpole. Like, you know, just classic Mario. And I think overall that that's a good idea, but I feel like that this game's a little bare bones, and they had the beginnings of an idea, but it's not fully fleshed out here. The levels are a bit simplistic and, dare I say, kind of easy to get through. There is a New Game Plus mode that is a bit more challenging and fun to play, but those are just like more or less remixed versions of the levels that you've already just got done playing. And ultimately, I just feel like that there is another game that did this concept, only better in almost every way, shape, and form. This is still a really fun Mario game to play, but I think I'm going to give this one a B. Right kind of in the middle of the road. It's still fun to play, and I would still come back to this game, and I would say that it's better and more enjoyable than something like Super Mario Sunshine, but, you know, again, I feel like that there have just been other games that did this concept better. And we're getting to that game right now. And this is the game that I'm talking about right here, Super Mario 3D World. This basically takes the original game that was on the 3DS and blows it out of the water in almost every way, shape, and form. There's more variety between different levels, they're more sprawling, there's more imagination in the artwork. It's just a much shinier and slicker looking game overall. And unlike the new Super Mario Bros. Games, this game has co-op, and it's done right. Where in the 2D titles, when you're doing co-op, you're constantly bouncing off of each other's heads constantly, you know, causing yourself to die and accidentally pick your opponent up and throw them off into pits and stuff like that. Because this game has a 3D plane, you don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff, and you can actually, like, work together with your other player to, like, actually get certain tasks done. It actually feels like you're playing together in a co-op fashion. Imagine that. And I just have to say, man, like, the catsuit is just one of my favorite power-ups in all of Mario. It's such a good designed power-up. It's probably my favorite one since the Tanuki suit. I just love it in almost every way, shape, and form. I will say, though, it doesn't quite reach the crescendo that other Mario games quite hit. It's still really, really good, I think I'm just going to give this one an A. Extremely replayable. I love it, but man, it doesn't quite hit the mark like certain other Mario games that we've talked about or that we're about to talk about. So that brings us to this game right here, Super Mario Odyssey. This came out a couple years ago, and I have to say, this is, so far, in my opinion, the best collectathon Mario game that has ever existed. In my eyes, this is the game that finally completely topples Super Mario 64 as the best collectathon Mario game. There's so many huge, sprawling worlds, each of them more creative than the last. I love New Donk City. It's probably one of my favorite levels in a Mario game ever. And just the sheer amount of moons that you can find in this game. What, did Mario 64 have 120? Oh, that's cute. This game has 1,000 moons to find. 1,000. Holy crap, man. I also love that this game just includes silly things like being able to dress up as different stuff in the game. You want to dress up in a bowler hat and a tux? Yeah, you can do that. You want to dress up as a caveman? Yeah, you can do that too. Why? I don't know, just 'cause. And then there's Cappy and the ability to take control of like any enemy that you want in the game and being able to do a whole bunch of different things, like being able to take over as a taxi or a tank or a Goomba or just like all sorts of different stuff where you can get all these different abilities. Like one of the first things that you take control of is a frog, just so you can jump super high, and it's incredible, it's great. I've already said that Galaxy and Galaxy 2 are my favorite Mario 3D platformers of all time, but man, this game comes close, and I have to give this game another S rank. This is just simply a fantastic game from beginning to end, and even beyond. Like, there's so much stuff that you can do after you beat the main game. There's so many more moons that gets unlocked, so many different new challenge modes and levels and all kinds of stuff that gets unlocked when you beat the game for the first time. You can play this game for a long time. I played this game for almost 100 hours. This game is fantastic, and it deserves to be the cream of the crop right up there with Galaxy and Galaxy 2. It's phenomenal. Fantastic game. Okay, guys, and that was my rankings for the 3D Mario games. You know, I definitely enjoyed the Galaxy games. I put those on top. But I know there's some people who didn't like those games as much as I did. So why don't you guys let me know what your favorite 3D Mario games down below in the comments. And as always, if you guys have made it this far into the video and you haven't hit that subscribe button, what are you doing, man? Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell to be notified of future videos. Do it. And if you want to help out the channel even more, maybe consider leaving a like and following me on Twitter at the 8BitMadNES. Don't forget, guys, I still have that contest going on. We're getting real close to hitting my 100 subscriber mark, so click the link down below in the description. Enter my contest, because we're going to be wrapping that up pretty soon. So do it. Win free things. Click that link. Clickety-click-clack. But most importantly, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Later.